a lot of people still may not understand the urban renewal zone and why we should even care about it. I think the first thing I want to do is answer any questions to the best of my ability and ask the other folks who know something about the BRA in the room to answer questions. But does anyone feel that they don't know what an urban renewal zone is and what why it's why they exist and why they're being sought after by the BRA?
Actually, briefly, why do they want them? I mean, I assume it's for no good. But
Never for no good.
Yeah.
I mean, I could give you the cynical answer, or I could give you the politically correct answer.
Oh, let's go with
the cynical answer. They've had the urban renewal zones for 50 plus years. Okay, when the urban renewal zones were created, Elvis was popular and people were driving around, in Packards. It's like the 50s, but now it's still here. It was a mechanism that was created to take land that is blighted, declared blighted, consolidate it, package up parcels, reapportion parcels, and seed development by large developers who could build, at the time, large towers. That was the thing to do in the 50s. So there was some extraordinary powers created. There were zones that were demarked to have these powers. And in these zones, the extraordinary powers include easier eminent domain taking. Although eminent domain taking is possible outside the zone and is possible outside the BRA and is done by other organizations in the city, as can be shown by a lot of public documentation. There's also the ability to put land disposition agreements together. And these agreements would say, okay, here's a couple of parcels, but if you develop on these parcels, you need to put in such and such an amount of housing, or you need to put in low-income housing, or such and such an amount of park space. So you can have certain covenants written into a land disposition agreement. Clearly, it's not the only mechanism that can put a covenant on a property. If it were, real estate as an industry, real estate development wouldn't exist. It's about covenants. So, but the LDAs, land disposition agreements, are a sort of a stockpile of covenant encumbered lands that the BRA has amalgamated. The BRA also has been in the business of collecting land, and they own a lot of land, and they make a fair amount of money by selling the land or developing the land, getting a developer to develop it and getting some sort of upside out of what goes on in various configurations that have been tried over the years. There are a couple of big pieces of land that are owned in the North End. Sergeant's Wharf is BRA owned. The parking lot revenues all go to the BRA. They have a company that manages the booths and all that, but that's BRA. I made a big deal about how poorly maintained that piece of land is and how all the trees are dead in front of it. And one of the BRA people at last Tuesday's session said, well, their main forte is not keeping trees. It's real estate development. That's well, thank you. So that's great. That was not the answer I was looking for, nor did I think it went over well in the audience. So Sergeant's Wharf and also Long Wharf is almost entirely owned. Not the End, which is a national park, but well, it's actually owned by the BRA, but it is a national park area. So those are two areas, but there are a whole bunch of other lands that the BRA owns. The BRA now actually owns City Hall Plaza too. It was passed to them by the city. I don't know through what arrangement. A lot of the ways that these transactions happen in between the BRA and the city is a mystery. It's mysterious. The BRA itself is sort of a mysterious organization, and it's not really a city organization. It's a creature of the state, of state law. The superordinate law is state. They were able to get a 1-year extension on their urban renewal zones last year when they expired without city council approval, because the superior state partner you know, in the governor's office was able to just sign off on a 1-year extension without the city council being involved.
So does this allow them to do what they want more than if they didn't have that?
Well, you know, in theory,
They would say yes. Right?
they would say that they could do things more efficiently, but you know, there was a big meeting on Tuesday. Was it Tuesday? So Monday, exactly. It was right at the same time as NEWRA, and on the heels of a scoping meeting for the Lewis Wharf project. So attendance was very low because there were 2 conflicts on top of it, which was a terrible way to schedule it. But it was at the aquarium, and I asked the question. I tried not to be a pest. Sometimes I can't help myself though. I asked the question. There's no urban renewal zone in the Seaport District, and you seem to have done a pretty good job of developing that area with no urban renewal zone ever. And the argument back was, well, it was really hard. And I said, well, sometimes hard is good. I remember John F. Kennedy saying, we do it not because it is easy, but because it is hard. You know, so what's wrong with doing a little hard work, guys? So yeah, it does make it considerably easier.
Yeah.
And I think, and once a project is done, though, the real nasty stuff is afterwards, because in an urban renewal zone, there are limits to legal recourse. And that's one of the main arguments the BRA is using. In fact, the Fenway is almost entirely an urban renewal zone, except a little portion around Fenway Park, which is not. However, they used what is called an urban renewal demonstration power, which they can use outside a zone. But that is legally challengeable and has been challenged for their essentially taking of Yawkey's Way to do the area outside of Fenway Park, which is a vendor area around game times. That's a BRA negotiated deal. It was done using what is called an urban renewal demonstration power, an outside of zone urban renewal power, and people are suing the BRA over that, and they may even win. So the BRA is basically saying, hey, if they win that, that means that they can sue us. But you know, there are a lot of us that say there's a reason. I mean, there's a reason that John Adams defended in court the Boston Massacre guys, because he believed in a legal system that he fought to make sure was embedded in our Constitution. We are a society of laws, so it's sort of not great to have as a philosophy. Yeah. Let's just suspend laws. Yeah. And legal recourse. So that's one of the reasons why I'm trying to let everyone know these urban renewal zones, where they exist. And if you look at the downtown area, close to 50% of the landmass of downtown is in an urban renewal zone. There are some pockets that aren't. And the only urban renewal zones that the BRA is seeking not to renew are tiny little ones that are like little, 2 or 3 parcel, sub 2 acre plots. But all the huge ones, like the downtown waterfront zone, which Coast Guard, all the way down to the Hook Building and all the way into, including Faneuil Hall to Government Center. That's the Boston Public Market, all of that area. That's all a big urban renewal zone. There's another one in North Station. There's another one in the West End.
Why do they want to make them continue to have them?
Well,
do they have a particular development in mind, or are they?
They just say it's easier if they have them. And what I'm and the other people in the other neighborhood associations, what we're all asking is, gee, these were good 50 years ago, but maybe they're not so good right now. And also, if we're going to do the last letter we voted on was, if we're going to do a long-term plan, Imagine Boston 2030, should we have that plan determine where we want to do development, and then let's have the powers in those areas? Usually if you build a house, you draw plans and then you figure out how much lumber to buy. They're just going to the lumber yard and going nuts without having a plan at this point, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Want to be reasonable, because I don't want to come across as someone who's anti-BRA. I think that they've done some good things. There is some good planning over the years, particularly in the 60s and the 70s that the BRA did. That it was better than some of the stuff that's happening right now. There was a time when the BRA actually balanced building above ground and the need for subways and rapid transit and you know, the busway and the government center garage and the extension of certain T stations and building of new roads. There was a time when they took that balanced view. Right now, it's sort of let's build stuff, and we'll do a traffic study that will always show that the road is fine. And the roads are usually not very fine.